God develops a vision for leadership in the battlefield. In the battlefield. Take this to the battlefield. Okay, Father, I'm happy to be the delivery boy. Just because he joyfully obeyed, just by that virtue of obedience, his feet was moved from the grazing field to the battlefield. And God has a plan even at the battlefield. Just like God has a plan at the grazing field, God has a plan for David and for you and me at the battlefield too. There are 7 verses in the beginning of this chapter set apart to tell us who this giant Goliath is. The verses talk about his armor, his weaponry, his size, just to instill fear on the reader, to help us understand how God's people would have felt back then. 7 verses to explain an enemy, it is not required. It is just enough for the writers to write, he was big and he instilled fear. That's all, it's enough, we could understand. But there are 7 verses set apart in this verse, so you and I will know that this is not a normal enemy. This is a giant of an enemy standing in front of him. So much so, in verse 11 we read, when Saul and all Israel heard of these words of this Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. What you and I are supposed to understand when we read those verses is fear. Fear of those people. The king whose God has chosen to deliver them over and over again, tell them that he is sovereign by doing miracles, showing his glory, his power. He's now running along with the soldiers. These trained people, all their eyes could see fear when an enemy was there in front. But David's eyes does not see the same. David's eyes does not see the same. Here's a young, handsome and ruddy boy. That's how this chapter defines David. Handsome and ruddy. The one you will go to and say, Chiku, 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 and the cheeks turn pink. But David's, this young and ruddy boy's eye doesn't see the fear that all these trained men were seeing. David's eyes saw God's glory being desecrated, and therefore he says, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Uncircumcised as in the one who's not even in the covenant, who doesn't even know God. Why are you even listening to him? How come he becomes an enemy when you know God, when you're in the covenant? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? In verse 26, then David spoke to this men who were standing by, saying, what shall be done for this man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? God is alive. And why are you guys so scared about? What are you guys scared about? What is about this enemy that threatens you? We too have big giants in our lives, right? Giants that are slowly lurking around. For many of us, they are not reality. We have those, if this happens, then my life is gone. That giant is sleeping now. When that giant wakes up, it becomes this Philistine, big giant in front of our lives. We don't know how to handle. We are terrified. We are looking at him, forgetting the fact that God is bigger than the giant. David's eyes does not see what those people are seeing, but the ability to see what God wants David to see is the foundation of a godly leader. That's called vision. That's called vision. That's called vision. David's eyes saw God's name, God's glory being desecrated. Everyone sees fear. David sees an opportunity to re-establish the glory, the kingdom and the power of God back to where it belongs. That's a man after God's own heart. That's a man after God's own heart. What does your eyes see in your mundane living? In your battlefields, what does your eyes see? What does the inner eyes of your heart and your mind see? Ask God for a vision. Ask God to reveal things that God wants you to see in the midst of the battle zone, while all people around you are seeing fear, trembling, and running away, quote Jeremiah 33:3 and ask him, saying, Lord, you say, call to me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know. I want to know those things, O Lord. I want to see what you see on behalf of me. May my eyes see what you want me to see.